All right. Well, I want to welcome you guys, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. We're here today to talk about your wonderful son, Sheldon. Got to spend a little bit of time with him. But I just wanted to invite you guys in to have a little conversation and learn a little bit more about some what he's like at the home. So, can you guys start by just describing, like, what is life like for Sheldon at your guys' home? Some sighs.
Yes. We have to have a schedule for everything. Like, if we don't eat the same food on the same day at the same time.
Just, he's got to have it. So you guys are on a meal schedule for Sheldon. Okay.
Yeah, it's not even just that, though. It's preparing the food. If I don't cut his sandwich exactly diagonally, not one half bigger than the other, he won't eat it. He won't eat it, and I have to remake it.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just with food that he's like this, or that he's this particular?
It's other things, too. Like, he's super weird about his spot. And I don't mean, like, weird in a bad way, because I love my kid.
Mm-hmm.
But he won't sit anywhere else. Like, and then anytime I try and get him to sit somewhere else, he goes into this long explanation about why he sits there.
So he has his own particular spot that he has to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He said something about eternal dibs. I'm not really sure what that means.
I'm not really sure what that means either. Maybe I can bring it up with him in session to see what eternal dibs means to him. What does it sound like when you guys talk with Sheldon?
I feel like direct is the word, because he says what he wants to, and then he's just done with the conversation. And it's very frustrating, because I'll ask him a question, but unless he wants to answer it, he won't.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't look us in the eyes. What else?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he doesn't get figures of speech. Like, his sister told him to chill out. So he attempted to get into our refrigerator.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so he's taking things very literally.
Very literally.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well with him, but I'm curious as to what that looks like when he's trying to play with other students. Or not playing with other students.
Well, for starters, he doesn't like to touch them. Okay. So tag is out of the question. Because he's worried about getting germs or something.
Mm-hmm.
And again, his conversations are very direct. Like, he's to the point. He doesn't get the sarcasm that people say, or he just doesn't get how to joke around with the other kids.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions, and I'd like you to tell me just how often Sheldon goes through these behaviors. Starting conversations with other people.
Never.
Yeah, he doesn't really start a conversation. Sometimes I'll see him say something, but it doesn't look like he's directing it at anyone, and it's usually he'll say something about something he's interested in. So it doesn't matter what's going on around him. If he feels like saying something about Star Trek, well, guess what everybody's going to listen to? Stuff about Star Trek.
So he'll continue to talk about Star Trek for a while. Can you guys get him to talk about another subject when he's going on, or?
Battlestar Galactica.
Oh. Okay.
So he just switches from show to show.
So.
Or he jumps to comic books.
So it's definitely set in something that he's interested in.
Okay.
Yeah, you might be able to get him to say a sentence or two with, if you kind of tell him or guide him or direct him in what to say. But as soon as he sees the first opportunity, he will just switch it right back around to whatever it is that he wants to talk about.
Okay.
But he won't, like I'll say, Sheldon, go to your room and go get your blue Nikes for me. And he won't respond at all. Okay. And I'll say, did you hear me? And then he'll say yes, and he'll go get them. But if I don't ask him if he heard me, or if he could just go do it already, then there's really no response there. So I think he's hearing me. I just don't think that he realizes that he should let me know that he heard me somehow. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is some very rigid behaviors from him.
A typical day for us is, he'll often come to us first. He wakes up really early in the morning. Very early at the same time every day, no matter whether or not it's a weekend. And he'll knock on the bedroom door, and he has to knock 3 times specifically. And when he knocks, he'll say, knock, 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 mom and dad. Knock, 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 mom and dad. And each time he does that,
Each time he knocks.
Each time he knocks and he says, mom and dad, we have to answer, yes, Sheldon. If we don't, at any point during the sequence of 3, it starts all over and he won't come in. And so then he'll come in and he'll wake us up.
I can see that being a little frustrating or aggravating.
It is, especially when it's, Sunday and you had a hard night the night before and you want to sleep in and you're half tired and you forget, yes, Sheldon, on one of the times and then it starts all over again.
But I'm also hearing that you guys can be very patient with him.
You have to be.
Okay.
Yeah, you kind of have to be.
So I wanted to ask you guys a couple questions about Sheldon's just early development, sort of childhood, and we're going to start from just the very beginning. And also, I just want to let you know, if I ask any questions that make you feel uncomfortable or anything like that, it's just so we can get a clear picture of what happened from a very early stage. So as far as speaking of early stage, how was the whole pregnancy with Sheldon? Was there any complications? Anything come up?
I mean, he was a little early,
Okay.
but the doctor said that that was okay, that sometimes babies come early and it wasn't so early that we should be concerned.
Okay. And how early was early?
He was 5 weeks early.
5 weeks early?
Yeah.
Okay. How about reaching developmental milestones like walking, talking, crawling?
Seemed like all of that was kind of normal. Like he would talk and walk and move around just like any other normal kid.
Okay. Can you give me some examples of like time frames of when those things happen?
Of course. I think he started crawling around like 3 to 6 months, and probably started saying his first words around a year or so.
Okay.
And then full sentences, or at least like 3 to 4 word sentences, around a year and a half, right?
Something like that, yeah, around 1.5 to 2.
Okay.
I remember because he seemed like just such a little man, just all kind of grown up, toddling around the house and talking and babbling and.
Where we first started having people say something about his behavior and stuff was when he hit preschool, though.
Oh, okay. So preschool was the time that you first started noticing something was maybe a little bit different.
Kind of like what we were saying earlier, he didn't really socialize with kids that well and stuff. But at that age, we kind of wrote it off as he was kind of shy, because a lot of kids are shy at that age.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
It's very true. And how was this? So when did this turn that it looked different than just being shy to what we're seeing now?
Well, I started noticing more and more that when I would come to pick him up from preschool, I would kind of try to walk in quietly or hide near the door and peek in just to see what he was doing. And I would see him off over by the window, just kind of looking out, or sometimes I would see him in a corner by himself, and sometimes he'd have a toy and he'd be holding it really close to his face and kind of rotating it. And once I stood there for at least, I think, 10-15 minutes just watching, and he did that the whole time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Was there any major illnesses growing up, anything like that, at a young age, or maybe any major medical history I should be aware of or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, he's had the chicken pox, but
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty typical. 4 other members of his class got it too, so.
Okay. And what about extended family members? Is there any medical history, drug abuse history in the family, anything like that?
Definitely no drugs.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much for coming in, and I'm really looking forward to working with Sheldon in our social skills group and keeping you guys informed on how he progresses in there. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Sounds good.